Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final round of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022, organized by Chinese Youth Advancement Association and sponsored by Macau Foundation. I'm honored to be your host today, and I am Mr. K. 2 months ago, we were confronted with the worst COVID outbreak in Macau. More than 1,000 new cases have been reported. 14 rounds of mass testing have been conducted. Yet, with the bravery and determination of every individual in Macau, we took the challenge. At this battle against the pandemic, the volunteers, students, teachers, community association, and government fight against it. Eventually, the pandemic is brought under control, and the order of life and production has been gradually resumed. Therefore, we are so excited to hear the story of our students. That's why we have set up the student category for the first time. And here's the sponsor time. You may have noticed that there is some kombucha tea on the table of our judges. The 100% natural kombucha tea is freshly brewed in Macau, featuring a number of health benefits. It's brought to us by our sponsor, Boozy Blue Kombucha. Our another sponsor is Another Coffee, a local coffee, original coffee brand. Their brand motto is Another Coffee, Another Choice. Here, we would like to express our gratitude to our two sponsors for their support of our contest. Without further ado, let's start our final round of student category today. First, please welcome our honorable judges sitting in the hall today, and they are Ms. Yunhua Luk, President of Macau Language Exchange and Cultural Promotion Association. Ms. Margarita Sgarlo T. Muniris, President of East Asian Education Association, Macau. Professor Victoria Lei, Assistant Dean of Faculty of Arts and Humanities, University of Macau. Thanks for judging today. And we also have a question master for the Q&A section. And our question master is Mr. Alan Chen. Before we start, let me briefly introduce the different sections of the contest and the rules. The final round will be divided into 3 sections. In the first section, contestants will deliver a speech of around 3 to 4 minutes based on one of the designated range of topics they drew just now. The 2 ranges of topics are the taste of Macau and warrior and warrior. Following their speech, our question master will ask a contestant 1 question based on their speech, and the contestant have to answer the question within a minute. This is the second section. In the third section, contestant will draw a pair of English words as a topic of a 2-minute impromptu speech. They have 10 minutes to prepare for the speech. The first and second section account for 60% of total score, while the third section account for 40%. Judges will elaborate the contestant based on the criteria, as you can see on the screen now. There are 5 categories for judging in the first and second sections, and 4 categories for the third section. Also, all contestants should pay attention to the timing. A yellow sign will be shown when there are 30 seconds left before the time limit. A red sign will be shown when there are 15 seconds left before the time limit. For every 15 seconds of insufficient speech time or overtime, 5 points of the total score will be deducted. And insufficient or excessive time of less than 15 seconds will also be counted as 15 seconds. Finally, there is the vote for the Best Popularity Award. After the first section, we will show everyone here on the screen a QR code that links to our voting system. Each participant who has 1 vote for a maximum of 2 contestants, together with the vote of the previous online vote, will decide the winner of the Best Popularity Award. I believe you all are clear about the rules. Without further ado, allow me to present the first speaker, contestant number 1, Winola Lei, with her speech entitled, Say Up to the Challenge. Winona, you may have 15 seconds to check your setting and prepare yourself.
Testing. Can I start?
You can start anytime.
When facing dilemmas, would you choose to be a warrior who steps up to the challenges, or a worrier who worries a lot when making decisions? Surely, there's no right or wrong in making this decision. But for me, I would rather be a warrior than a worrier. Throughout our lives, we'll face a bounty of difficulties and crossroads that we have to choose which one to go. After we've made the decision, the uncertainties ahead always make things much more challenging. For some people, being a worrier may reduce the possibility of getting into troubles, as they will consider every single consequence after they've chosen their way. But do these considerations really help if everything behind the road is still an unknown before choosing? Surely, we should think deeply about the dire consequences we are going to face. Yet no one can accurately predict the future. As the well-known proverb says, there's nothing certain but the uncertain. If these unknowns are still unknown, even after we worry about the future, then why don't we just pluck up courage and experience the adventure as a warrior? Last summer holiday, I served as a volunteer at an animal hospital in Macau. At first, actually, I was super scared because it was totally out of my comfort zone. I was not an extrovert and I did not like socializing. Working with strangers is definitely difficult for me at that time, so I was worried about how embarrassed I would be during my work, causing me to step back when applying for the position. But as soon as I realized that bordering on what is going on and running away from my fear were never beneficial to my growth, I decided to face my fear directly, like a warrior. I was pleased that the vet said yes to my application, and I've had many new and interesting experiences. When I look back on that summer, I'm glad that I plucked up courage and sent that application message. Unquestionably, when facing changes as well as the unknown future can be worrying. However, this kind of worries does not change the future or improve the situation. Then why don't we just focus on the present and on what we can do at the moment to prepare ourselves for the future, whether it will come up to our expectations or not. There's an old saying, you get nothing if you don't try. Bordering on what is going on is what we always do when facing changes. But worrying too much about the future does not do anything and is no different with doing anything. Life should be an adventure. We should be a warrior, holding a torch and exploring every single path of the adventure. What we should focus on is to do whatever we can to embrace our future. Let's carpe diem, the Latin aphorism for seize the day. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Now, let's welcome our question master to ask the question about your prepared speech, Winona.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. Contestant number 1. If you unfortunately made a big mistake in your life, how would you react to it?
Okay, first of all, thank you for the question. Can I start?
Yeah, you can start.
If I unfortunately make a big mistake in my life, first of all, I would think, why would I make this mistake? Because I think finding the problem is the most important thing in solving problems. And then I'll think, how do I solve this problem indeed? And of course there's a problem, so we have to solve it. But the point is, maybe this big mistake was caused me frustrating and anxiety. So I think the most important thing is to deal with it, but do not worry too much about it, because maybe something bad at the present can be something that helps you in the future. So I think I'll try to calm myself down and find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. And our next speaker is contestant number 2, Isaac Leung, and his speech is entitled The Timeless Taste. Isaac, you may have 15 seconds to check the setting and prepare yourself.
Testing.
And you may start now.
Speaking of the taste of Macau, everyone can easily talk about it, as Macau is known as the creative city of gastronomy. You can find all kinds of food here, even if you are picky. I'm sure that you can still find your ideal dish here in Macau. To be honest, I'm not a foodie, and I visited only a handful of local restaurants. Yet, it never makes it difficult for me to describe the taste of Macau. In Macau, round the corner, there must be 1 or 2 local cafes, or cha chan tang in Cantonese. There's also a small ordinary cha chan tang in my neighborhood. It's nothing fancy, but the taste of the food there, it's something I will never forget. The cafe has been there for many years. The shop owners are a couple. They've probably known me since I was a kid. Their workplace is a narrow kitchen with ovens and stoves. I'm sure that it is sweltering inside, but I've never heard them complaining about their lives. Instead, they're always working with a smile on their faces. Despite its small size, the cafe provides a variety of dishes. My family always order their lamb stew during winter. Lamb stew is a dish that requires precise control of time and temperature, a secret recipe for the broth, and most importantly, the chef's patience and dedication to cooking. The couples once said that they hope everyone in the neighborhood can enjoy their meals there. I think that is what makes the taste of their food so unforgettable. As time passes, many things in the community have changed. What remains the same is the taste of the cafe. A few days ago, I saw the couple's daughter helping out at the cafe. I thought the food would surely taste different, but to my surprise, it was the same. Indeed, the taste of Macau has been so unique because of not only creative ideas, but also traditional recipes passed down from generation to generation. And this is what makes the taste of Macau everlasting. If someone asks me to use one flavor or a single dish to symbolize the taste of Macau, sorry, I can't. It is the feeling that cannot be simply put into words. The fusion of indigenous food and exotic tastes, the magical combination of traditional cooking methods and new recipes, and most importantly, the strong community bonds have all contributed to the unparalleled taste of Macau. In the future, lifestyle may differ. The things that people like might also change. But I'm confident that the taste of Macau will always be here. It's because of you, because of me. It's because of all of us who lives and grows up in Macau. In the future, I think the taste of Macau will still continue to reverberate, keeping it original but diverse. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Isaac. Now, let's welcome our question master to ask a question about your prepared speech.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech, contestant 2. I still want you to get a voice this time. Which one would you prefer, pork chop bun or produce egg tart, and why?
Okay, so actually I prefer the pork chop bun better. Although the egg tart is a dessert, which I think most of us will like, but I think that when we go to a restaurant and order their pork chop bun, we can taste the experience of the chef because you need to keep the bread crunchy but not too hard. It is very difficult without enough experience. Like for me, in the restaurant that I just mentioned in my speech, they also have pork chop bun in their menu. But when I was small, I go there. I think that it was not a delicious food because I think it's not something that I like. But as I grow up, the taste and the love that has been stored in the food is something I like the most. So yeah, this is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Thank you. And our next speaker is contestant number 3, Jackie, and his speech is entitled Shift in Paradigm.
Hello.
Hi Jackie, you may have 15 seconds to check the setting and prepare yourself.
Test.
And you may start any time.
I was a born warrior. I worry about the tiniest details of what people say and overthink about them. I worry about whether I can meet expectations of others and not let people down. If I have nothing to worry about, I'll worry about that. In short, I worry a lot. When I had to do a class presentation one time, I was extremely anxious about it. I prepared for it like crazy and thought about all my words and actions that day. I thought about all the possible scenarios that could happen and rehearsed it over and over. And on that day, I still messed up because I couldn't control my nerves. All the eyes were on me, scrutinizing my every move. I was worried that if I didn't perform well, I'd seem like a total failure or disappointment to my classmates. And these thoughts held me back. After the presentation, I asked a friend about it and asked for opinions. He told me, "Look, Jackie, to be completely honest with you, that presentation was horrible. Your actions were unnatural and your tone of voice was unenthusiastic. It just seemed like you didn't want to be there at all." This absolutely crushed me. I was extremely sad after hearing that. But right then, something clicked in me. I knew what the problem was. All this time, I was making it about me instead of about you, the audiences. I was so worried about looking good that I wasn't even talking to the audiences. Because all I'm thinking in my mind is if I did or said anything that seemed weird. If I genuinely tried to share something and really connect with my audience, then they would want to lend me their ears and hear what I have to share. From then on, I became less of a warrior and more of a warrior. I experienced a shift in paradigm, a complete change in my mindset. It reduced a significant amount of my public speaking anxiety because I can just talk to the audiences like how I would with my friends. I don't have to worry about hand movements. They just come naturally. And the only thing I have to do is familiarize myself with the topic. And that can be done way beforehand. When that day comes, everything will just flow naturally. What I want to say is, no one is inherently a warrior or a warrior. It's all about perspectives and mindsets. And oftentimes, we're actually a mix of both with varying proportions. So you can actually train yourselves to lean more on one side. But don't try to be on the extreme end of the spectrum though, because worrying in moderate amounts is actually beneficial for you. It makes you more future-oriented so that you can be more prepared and adaptive to changes. So it's best to strike a balance between being both a warrior and a warrior. depending on the work you're doing and the life you wish to live. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your speech, Jackie. Now let's welcome our question master, Mr. Alan Chen, to ask a question about your prepared speech.
So thank you very much for your sharing, and it's good to see you have overcome your anxiety. But now, is there a quick tip for our next contestant to overcome his stage anxiety before his next speech?
Well, like I mentioned in my speech, I talked about how I had a change in mindset, right? Because I used to think that I had to put on a good performance to look good in front of stage. So that kind of built up a lot of expectations for me. But I learned to let that down. I learned to just talk to audiences naturally. I learned to just talk to them directly rather than putting up a show. And I guess this has made all the difference for me. And that's my advice for the next speakers. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Jackie. And our next speaker is contestant number 4, Jackie Wong, and his speech is entitled The New Taste of Macau. Prepare yourself,
Testing.
and you may sign anytime.
Before I give my Macau is best known for its integrated resorts, for its amazing historical sites, and perhaps for its gorgeous casinos. Well, to me, the most appealing point of Macau is that its culinary flavors that recalls the rich history and the cultural background of Macau. Macau is far more than that. Good morning, everyone. This is Jackie Wong, and today I'm bringing you guys to the future of Macau, the Guangdong-Macau In-Depth Cooperation Zone in Hengqin. One of the most expected possibilities is that Macau will see fewer restrictions in international trading. In the past, it was nearly impossible for Macau to conduct large-scale importations and exportations due to the limited land. However, with the new land and sufficient support from the cooperation zone, Macau can easily become the next international freight station, a sophisticated blend of the Eastern and the Western cultures, fusion food that combines the Chinese and the Portuguese flavors. With the help of the cooperation zone, this kind of cuisine can be prepared locally and sold as food packages in Portuguese-speaking countries. This will enhance Macau's distinctive taste. The successful implementation of the Guangdong-Macau In-Depth Cooperation Zone will be the fundamentals for the future of Macau. I look forward to seeing Macau and the cooperation zone prosper far into the future, and witnessing Macau obtain its pivotal role as a global Sino-Portuguese hub. And for all of you sitting here and behind the camera, I would like to invite you to have a walk at the Guangdong-Macau In-Depth Cooperation Zone in Hengqin without further ado. During your trip, I believe that you will experience the new taste of this alluring city, Macau. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Jackie. Now let's welcome our question master to ask a question about your prepared speech.
Thank you very much for your speech, contestant number 4. Can you quickly create a fusion dish blending local Macau taste and Guangdong taste?
Pardon me, please.
Oh, can you quickly think of a fusion dish blending local Macau taste and Guangdong taste?
Thank you for your question. I think it's a really difficult question because Macau has been colonized, as we all know, has been colonized by by Portugal for a long time. So it is really rare to discover a dish that is a fusion taste of the Guangdong taste and the Macau taste. But what I would say would be some of the dim sums that we had when we go Yum Cha. This is because, I don't know if you know that, but the dim sum in Macau is actually modified, the taste is modified to actually more, the dim sum originates from Guangdong, but however, the taste is modified to the Macanese taste, so it's quite different from the ones you had in Guangdong. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you for the answer, Jackie. And our next speaker is contestant number 5, Jenny, and her speech is entitled Hide or Fight. Hi Jenny, you may have 15 seconds to check your setting and prepare yourself.
And fight better. However, our fear of failure may exaggerate our perception of the risks, and as such, we may become unwilling to take action and unwilling to fight it out. I remember during the summer before I transferred to the school where I am, I was anxious and thought a lot about possible dangers. I kept asking myself, is it a good idea for me to change schools? Will my future teachers like me? Can I make new friends in the new school? Can I adapt to an unfamiliar environment? These questions took control of my mind. I even lost sleep over them. Now, as I reflect on this experience, I think being a warrior enabled me to foresee what problems that I might encounter. So I could think about these questions ways in advance, which could be an advantage. However, I also realized that I should have started making some changes rather than ruminating over the little problems. Instead of thinking about whether I can do that, I should have begun to think about what can I do now. Therefore, I could have tried to adjust my mentality and manage my time. I should have dealt with my worries optimistically. In preparation for the coming academic year, I will start to read some new study materials. To build friendships, I should become kind, humble, and helpful to others. I believe that I could finally adapt to a new environment because I was willing to take action and make positive changes about myself. Therefore, I have learned to overcome my worries and work hard. This speech contest is an example. Before the contest, I had a lot of struggles because English is not my mother tongue and I was not very confident about my spoken English. So I was very worried and even thought about quitting the competition. But then I realized that if I had given up, I would regret of my decision because I would have lost a precious opportunity to improve myself. On the other hand, if I participate in this contest, the worst thing that could happen would only be losing the competition, which is not a serious consequence at all. So I decided to leave my comfort zone and embrace the challenge. Therefore, I stand here. I believe that being a warrior can make us a better planner. It can also make us avoid being reckless. However, there are times when we are too preoccupied and stressed. We should be a warrior and calculate the risks. But if the risks are manageable, we should fight like a warrior. Lastly, I would like to cite the quotation in the movie Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Life is full of surprises, so we should give ourselves a chance. Instead of just worrying, let's stay positive and take the first bold step to be a warrior. Are you ready? Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Jenny. And now let's welcome our question master to ask you the question about your speech.
Thank you very much for your speech, and I believe today is also another precious experience for you. So my question to you is, why do people worry about the unforeseeable future?
Okay, and I think people worried for their unforeseeable future because of there have many difficulties they can imagine out. And if our fear of, just like I have mentioned, if our fear of failure may exaggerate the perception of the risks, and because of this imagined, and we may become unwilling to take action and unwilling to fight it out. So I think if we being face this worried, and we should be calmed down and regarded this worried as a normal emotion. So faced to these situations, we should be calmed down and think more solutions to solve these difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And you may show your.
Okay, thank you.
And our next speaker is contestant with 6, Leung Yan Kyo, and her speech is entitled Warrior is Disguised.
Warrior in disguise. Have you eaten yet? That's the first thing I always hear when I'm on the phone with a certain someone. You probably hear that when you're on the phone with your certain someone too. Of course, this doesn't happen only on the phone, but also after a year of studying abroad, a one-day sleepover, any type of reunion, and I swear, almost every single day. When I wake up, this certain someone asks me what I want to eat, and if they have to work, they will, however busy, find the time to call me and check if I ate. Now, just a few hours after I've eaten, they will proceed to ask me whether I'm hungry or not, or whether to have dinner now or later. Then after dinner, they will once again inquire if I'm full. And when I'm preparing for bed, they will ask me what I like to the next day. And I'm very grateful for all of these, don't get me wrong, but I think ingesting food is the least of my worries. Now, this person isn't only attentive to my nutrition, but also to everything and everyone in the household. They'll also spend the whole day contemplating whether the groceries they've bought are the best pricing and fine. And I kid you not, but during the pandemic, this person, worried that there would be too many people, really went to 7-Eleven at midnight to buy Tide Pods. They're also someone who cares about how I've slept each night, and concerned that I will feel cold, would wake up multiple times to put the covers on me if they aren't already. They care about my education, my future, my interests, my well-being, my happiness. Even today, they prepared me a jacket just in case the air conditioning here would be too strong. Some would call this person a worrier. I wouldn't. I would call this person a warrior. Because this person's hands tell the tale of a lifetime in battle. It's a handful of scars, cuts from chopping carrots, blisters from spitting pots and burning woks, wrinkles from washing dishes, bulging veins from carrying heavy loads of groceries. Battle scars. Those same hands looked after countless patients, even when treated with incivility and disrespect. Those same hands maintained order in the house with 2 children on her back. Those same hands held her child's tiny, still hands as she lay on the hospital bed unconscious. Heart, body, and mind full of battle scars. And despite all adversity, she remained strong. Hardships and trials shaped her life into someone who thinks meticulously and thoroughly, who makes backup plans for backup plans. I wouldn't call this worrying. I would call this someone who has learned life the hard way. Someone who has been on the battlefield for decades and survived, and is still fighting, not for her sake, but for children. Someone who has walked through enough traps and ambushes to know what to watch out for. Someone who has scars carved into her very bones and uses her life to prevent having the same scars inflicted on her children, to protect her loved ones. This is my mother, a warrior. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, thank you. Now let's welcome our question master to ask a question about your prepared speech.
Thank you for your sharing, contestant number 6. You mentioned meals at the beginning of the speech. So people believe that breakfast is the most important meal of a day. Do you agree? And why?
Thank you for your question. Well, many people believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I also agree with that. And that is not because of my own opinion, but also because of many studies and research that my mother has shown me and we've read together just before going to bedtime almost every single day. She constantly reminded me that having breakfast is the most important and almost the most important meal throughout the whole day, and that even if you're trying to keep fit or even you're trying to lose weight, breakfast is the meal that you have to eat to maintain a good health and also a steady weight. And of course, I would think that breakfast is the most important meal because you need energy to work, and if you don't eat your breakfast in the morning and then you go to work, you feel lethargic and tired all day long. Thank you.
Thank you, Yan Q. And you may show your way out. And our next speaker is contestant number 7, Nicole, and her speech is entitled Fusion Food and Culture of Macau.
Testing. Hello, I am Nicole. Food plays an important role in both our daily lives and the society that we live in. As apart from being a necessity, it is also deeply intertwined in our culture. Macau, as a meeting place between the Chinese and Western cultures, its food reflected the characteristics of this cultural blend, Macau residents' inclusiveness. So, it is fair to say that one cannot fully understand the Macau culture without gaining insights of its unique local cuisine. Fusion food is cuisine that emerges from different dishes and recipes from different countries and cultures. Macau, in particular, has one of the most diverse food cultures in the world. As a result of the cultural influences of former Portuguese colonies and Cantonese culture. Therefore, the locals and tourists have a wide range of options to choose from, ranging from fine Western dining to local snacks in the alley. One can imagine that Macau's food cuisine also consists of its own style of fusion dining that combines dishes from both Asia and Europe. One of the perfect examples to show this is the authentic Macanese pork chop bun. The pork chop bun is one of the most popular dishes here in Macau for the locals and tourists to enjoy. It combines the Asian ingredients and the Portuguese recipe. As simple as it may look, this is the embodiment of the perfect, harmonious combination of both Eastern and Western cultures in Macau's food culture. The fusion food here in Macau is the perfect example of local culture. Throughout the history, Macau has evolved into the intersections of both Eastern and Western culture. Not only Portuguese people live here in Macau, but also people from around the world. For example, I am a Filipino, and I love Macau. Once you are here, you are able to experience residents' hospitality, their kindness, and inclusiveness. there's also a blend of spices and the blend of culture. You will experience the harmoniously, and you will live comfortably, and you will feel safe. This is precious in the world nowadays. Macau is like a delicious fusion meal, which satisfies the taste of people everywhere. She is a rich combination of Eastern and Western culture. So, if any of your friends are thinking about the next destination to travel to or to live, tell them to come here to Macau. In my experience, they won't regret it. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Nikhil. Now, let's welcome our question master to ask you a question about the speech.
Thank you for sharing contestant number 7. My question is, what kind of taste do you think Macau still lacks?
Thank you for your question. In my experience, there's tons of fusion food here in Macau. There's Indian, there's Thailand, and of course, my nationality, there's Filipino food as well. But they might not seem to be open in the idea of trying our food, and it's mostly common for them to try Thailand, like Thailand and Cantonese fusion meals, or probably Guangdong, or just any mainland China's and Cantonese fusion food. So, what I would want to say is, I do hope that Macau people would be open to experience more local food from different countries, not just food from here in China. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhil. And our next speaker is contestant number 8, Miffy Ho, and her speech is entitled More Than a Choice to Make. And Miffy, you have 15 seconds, check the setting and prepare yourself.
Testing.
And you may go anytime.
Being a part of this very generation, we find it common to encounter frustrations or predicaments in our everyday life. As teenagers ourselves, we bear various uncertainties. We tend to dwell on the same thoughts repeatedly, and we struggle to make decisions. But every time that we hesitate, there seems to be voices asking us, why don't you give it a try? You've got nothing to lose. But does this imagination really work in reality? As the only thing I've got from these voices is actually confusion. The confusion of not knowing which role to take. Should I be a warrior or a worrier? I find myself inclined to be a warrior-like person, which makes my friends sometimes envious of me as they find me always motivated. It is true that my mind is always full of ideas, but the point is, I always act before I actually consider the consequences. Take this summer as an example. I've thrown myself into tons of events, but before signing up for all these activities, the only thing I said to myself is, okay, let's give it a shot. But what I've not considered is exactly my biggest enemy, stress. While I keep myself being trapped in such a hectic pace, I've started to neglect the feelings of those who really care about me. I've started to fly off the handles of them whenever I'm overstressed. And that's why, while some are envious of me being courageous, I would actually consider that as reckless, which could be troublesome to me as well as people around me. And that's why I would say I actually want some qualities of a warrior to be with me. Though the vast majority may regard warriors as negative energy spreaders or even cowards, I would say I've started to envy them, as warriors are just more likely to take the overall situation into consideration. And what's more important is that I've never found worrying a fault or mistake. Worrying is actually an act in which one accepts their own imperfections and take their weaknesses into account before they act, which just makes them more prudent instead of prone. If being either a warrior or worrier have both merits or demerits, then why do we have to make a choice? Why do we have to choose to be either of them? We could be both. Let's learn to be a warrior so as to have the courage to embrace our imperfections and to be considerate for not just ourselves, but also for people around us. And then we fight just like a warrior. Perhaps after doing all of the above, there would not be significant changes to our world. But I do believe that all the answers to our insecurities are always with us. Combining the features of warriors and warriors actually help us to maintain a balance and to be calm enough to tackle all the problems ahead. Having the features of both sides actually will equip us with the force we need to fight, to grow, and to become truly commendable. May the force be with you all in the non-stop pursuit of each sweet and bitter of life. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Miffy. Now let's welcome our question master to ask you a question about your speech.
Thank you for the speech, contestant number 8. If I invite you to think instantly, what will be a new experience you want to try out now?
First of all, we thank you for your question. If we talk about a real-life experience that happened in my life, I would say perhaps it's gonna be my friend asking me to climbing. Standing from a warrior perspective, I'm sure that I'm not good at that sport. I don't know how safe could that be. I'm told I have no confidence on that. But I have to consider the feelings, and I know that maybe if I reject her for too many times, it would somehow make a relationship perhaps worse. And that's why I would actually, then after considering all this, I decided to go. And I just did like a warrior, and I really think that was a really great experience I have had, and I'm glad I did so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miffy. And our next speaker is contestant number 9, Annie Mack, and her speech is entitled Warrior and Warrior, Hand by Hand.
Testing. Honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Annie Mack. It's a great honor for me to stand here and give a speech. The topic that I want to share with you today is warrior and warrior, hand by hand. Nowadays, we are in a battle of coronavirus disease, and all of us are facing a dark time. Some of us are forced to stay at home. Some people have to shut down their business, and most of the citizens can't go to school or work. This virus continues its rampage through the whole world. It makes everything lose its vitality and prosperity. This is a war. This is a war without guns, bombs, or smoke, but with viruses and fears. Most of us feel afraid and helpless. Hailed as heroes of arm's way, a group of medical workers and volunteers have been working day and night to fight with COVID-19. They persist without hesitation in rescuing and protecting all of us. In my opinion, there are more warriors than medical workers and volunteers. Every day, these selfless warriors are giving out their all in healthcare settings while cutting themselves off from their families and loved ones. They don't even have a chance to say goodbye to their families every morning. In Wuhan, there was a doctor who died of COVID-19. He was just 29 years old. He had postponed his marriage so as to serve and treat the patients who were hit by the virus. He was a true warrior. Nowadays, all these warriors are still working day in and night out. Actually, they can just stay at home like most of us. But they didn't. They chose to stand in the front line of this battle and keep us safe. While we are staying at home, watching the news, and complaining the situation of the new epidemic. We have become warriors. Now, I want to ask you a question. Are we really just can be warriors? For me, I don't think so. In fact, we can also be warriors. When the time we realize the job of medical workers and volunteers, all our worries will melt away. We can also cope the problem of fighting the virus. Even though we aren't as brave as the warriors, each of us can give a part of ourselves, such as staying at home as much as possible, putting on masks, and keeping a good stay. The most important thing is, be the strongest backing of the warriors. Warriors, we are the essential to turn the situation around. And as citizens, we should bear our responsibilities to turn the situation around. We must fight against the COVID-19 hand by hand. Everyone's abilities is limited. But when we united as one, we can create an incredible power. I'd like to close with a quote from Khalil Gibran. He once said, no matter how long the storm lasts, the sun will always be behind the clouds. This is exactly the reason why we should fight against the epidemic together. It's because we, human beings, are the sun. I'm sure the clouds will scatter soon, and the sun will come out. Humans have to team up and put hand by hand to fight the virus. No matter we are warriors or warriors, we will be winners. We can win this war in the end. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech, Annie. Now, please welcome our question master, Mr. Alan Chen, to ask you a question about your prepared speech.
Thank you for your sharing, contest number 9. So, under the COVID-19 epidemic, what do you think the world will be 5 years later?
Thank you for this question. First of all, because for me, I'm really afraid that because I never thought that COVID-19 really disturbed my life, my daily life, and I think most of you will think will like this the same, and is really afraid, and the world. For me, I'm really afraid that most of us will have a I don't know. Sorry, I can't answer this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You did a good job. And our next speaker is contestant number 10, Victoria Chung, and her speech is entitled My Childhood, My Culture. And Victoria, you may have 15 seconds, check the setting and prepare yourself.
Testing.
Okay.
My childhood, my culture. Good morning, judges. I don't know if you have experienced this, but whenever my family and I are in another country, foreigners ask us questions like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? My mom's answer is always Hong Kong. I questioned her. I asked, Mom, why must we lie? You know what she said? Oh, Macau is too small. Oh, no one knows anything about this place, blah, blah, blah. I can never fully comprehend her reasons because I believe a city should not be overlooked or undervalued because of its size and popularity. Macau is unique and therefore deserves the recognition for its cuisine and culture. Macanese cuisine is known for its diversity, from pastries to savory dishes. You name it, we've got it. For locals, there is always a hearty dish that reminds us of our childhood. When I was young, my dad and I would walk around souvenir shops near the ruins of St. Paul and taste different sample food. One in particular that I fell in love with is the sweet pork jerky. I was reluctant to try at first, but after some persuasion from the staff, I took a small bite. And oh my! The chewy pork jerky is paired with an amazing sweet sauce to form a harmonious flavor. The smokiness of the jerky lingered in my mouth for a few moments before the spice of the black peppercorns kicked in. I begged my dad to buy me a pack, and we became regular customers from then on. Fast forward to present day. Whenever I have my hands on a pack of sweet pork jerky, nostalgic memories of my dad rush in. And that is the power of a dish, its ability to connect with people. But Macanese cuisine doesn't only connect with local people. It connects with people worldwide because of Macau's history. Macau was colonized by the Portuguese for about 400 years, and therefore, Portugal have also influenced Macau's cuisine, introducing the Portuguese egg tarts and bacalhau. Since Macau is also part of the Chinese community, dim sum and pork chop buns are also famous. Portuguese and Chinese cuisines are very opposite from each other. Yet, Macau, a place where East meets West, is able to connect them into one. If a city can embrace multiculturalism, so should its people. There have always been problems like racism in Macau, mainly targeting workers from the Philippines or Vietnam. As part of the future generation, I hope we can stop looking down on people and embrace each other, just like how Macau embraces cuisines from across the world. Because differences equal uniqueness. Differences create endless possibilities. To start, we should never feel ashamed of our own culture. If I were ever given a chance to go back in time when I was asked about my birthplace, I would proudly say that I am from Macau. And I hope that all of you here will do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your speech. Now, let's welcome our question master to ask you a question about the prepared speech.
Thank you for your sharing. Contestant number 10. My question actually goes with your last sentence. If you were to mom's role and answer the question from a foreigner again, where are you from? How will you answer? Could you give a little bit more detail to what you just said at the end of the speech?
Okay, thank you for your question. For me, I would firstly introduce myself as from Macau, and then also I will give some cultural backgrounds because Macau, as what I've mentioned in my speech, Macau is not a well-known city, so that's why I think that foreigners would like to know more about Macau, and I would also like to promote more about Macau. For example, I will introduce Macau's cuisines, architecture if possible, so as to represent my city, my country. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good job, Victoria, and thank you for your answer. And our last speaker is contestant number 11, Joe Lei, and his speech is entitled Honey is Delicious and at Hive.
Why? Okay. Every one of us, I believe, has a distinct memory of our own regarding Macau. It's unique for each of us, and I'm gonna share with you mine. When I first stepped into the classroom on my first day of primary school, there was this boy who fervently waved his hand by the door, welcoming his classmates and every passerby. Seeing that as an introvert, I approached the classroom anxiously and hurried into it. Abruptly, I heard, "Hi, let's be friends. What's your name?" "My name is James." I was astonished. At that moment, I felt a peculiar sensation of security and being accepted. During my kindergarten years in Guangzhou, I never really socialized a lot. Barely did I have any friends, and few would willingly sit with me. That's why I believed I would be isolated and bullied once again, witnessing history repeating itself. But it was all wrong. All of it was just my imagination and due to my mindset. Indeed, such passion would freak me out inevitably if it wasn't for James' sincerity, but perhaps his genuineness had touched me. I felt comfortable expressing myself. Never have I worried about being discriminated anymore after coming to Macau, neither for my height nor skin color. I was truly accepted here. Over these years, I owed kindness not only to my friends, but even the security guard at my apartment. That's not because everyone was so extroverted, nor that they would show so much passion to strangers, but simply because they've all been accustomed to meeting people of various races and ethnicities. Eventually, this kindness became a bonding that connects us and made Macau truly a home for every one of us. A few months ago, at the fireworks festival, I walked across the skyline of Macau. On my way to Nan Van Lake, I saw splendid buildings in contrast with old-fashioned streets, crowded with colorful people from all around the world. Within seconds, fireworks burst upon the sky, igniting my heart and the dim night of Macau. My life has ever been tasteless and concealed in darkness, once, until Macau has painted it from what was monochromic to now multicolored. Along this bumpy journey of life, I've been really grateful for coming to Macau. Not just the passionate greetings I've received, but also the warmth of belonging I felt. Until now, those parts have constructed me into whom I am today. Macau has been deeply engraved within my heart, as its irreplaceableness is being undoubtedly established by everyone's passion, benevolence, and lending hands. Neither a bed nor a cell makes home, but in where love dwells, in where our hearts can rest well, regardless of what befell. At this moment, with courage, I'm here to tell you all, Macau is my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Now let's welcome our question master, Mr. Alan Chan, to ask you a question about your prepared speech.
Thank you for your speech, contestant 11. Your topic has to do with honey is the sweetest at the hype. So if you were a bee, what type of bee would you describe yourself as?
I would describe myself as a normal bee, because all bees makes honey in a hive. When we think of something is sweet, what is the first thing we related it to? It's honey. What does honey represent within my speech? It's the sweet memories. These sweet memories are the lending hands, benevolence, and the passion that was made with me in Macau, and made Macau truly a home for me. That's why I believe that I metaphorize myself as a bee and made honey in my hive, because Macau is where I made my sweetest memory with everyone and my friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joe. And you may show your way out. And we have completed the first and second section of our contest. And we are going to take a 15-minute break. And coming up next will be the more exciting first section, which will be the impromptu speech. Our contestants will only have 10 minutes to prepare the random topic. And see you then. Thank you.
Yes, yes, I do. Maybe also for the kitchen.
to the third section of the Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022. And in this section, contestants are required to enter the preparation room. Without further ado, allow me to present the first speaker.
Testing with each other. And I believe that everyone is a very big regret. So let me tell you a story. Because I'm at that age of like teen, so that's why I seek for more friends. And my best friend doesn't really fit in with our group. And that's why I really deeply regretted it. And I feel like I have committed, and from God as well. I pray to God and I try to get an answer out of Him. And the answer is just to be brave, that we're never as close as we used to be. So that's why sometimes we have to really think before we do anything. And life doesn't always give us a second chance. And that is my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Yesterday and tomorrow. Yanko, you may have 15 seconds to check.
But how many times have everyone here done that without sacrificing that something they love or something that's close to them, to their heart? I believe that the tomorrow, although it's very important, but we also shouldn't forget about the past. We shouldn't forget about our past. Many people often say that we shouldn't dwell in regret. We shouldn't think about the things that we've done, the things that we've regretted. However, those are the very same things that we can learn from. We learn from our mistakes, and we pick up from where we've fallen. And our past, no matter how painful or traumatic or regrettable, it's the very thing that shapes us and might be the very key to our future, to having a better tomorrow. There are many times where I've found myself, although that I'm still very young, in my 16 years of life, I've still found myself reminiscing about the past, going through old photos, and thinking if I could go back to how it was in my childhood. But then I've also come to realize that the present is just as much as important as the future. And I've spent too much of my time sacrificing the time that I should be spending with the people I love, the people I care, rather than just making plans for a future, of course less unexpected, but still unexpected. So I urge all of you here today to live in the present, to cherish whom you love most, to look at your past not with fear nor regret, to own it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leung. And our next speaker is Jackie, and his keywords are protect and control. Jackie, you may have 15 seconds to check the setting and prepare yourself.
Hello. Okay. You know, my dad always had this certain philosophy in how to raise a child. He would let me just go wander about in life and do the things I want. But that doesn't mean that it's not caring about me. It's just that it's not restricting me in the things I do. Because when I really go out there and challenge myself and do new things, then if I at least try it in the first place, then I might even find unexpected success. Like even if I do things that he thinks I might likely fail, he's just gonna watch me go do it and make mistakes. Because once I make those mistakes, it's what's gonna help me grow. It's what's gonna give experience to me so that I can improve as a person. So even if I'm likely to fail, he's just gonna watch me do it. But of course, if I'm gonna do drugs or do anything that's really, really bad, then of course it's gonna stop me. But mostly, he's just gonna let me just have handle my own things and be myself. And so, controlling is not protecting. Protecting is letting your child explore life on its own and being there when they need you and leading them to the right path. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jackie. Make sure you're off. And our next speaker is Jackie Wong. And his keywords are pain and gain. You may start anytime.
Pain. We have all experienced pain for any kind in our lives. For example, physically, like you have unexpectedly cut yourself, or mentally, you cannot buy your CDs from your favorite artist. Living in pain is inevitable in our lives because it is impossible to live our lives without pain. But the problem is, how can we deal with pain? So the first thing we should do is we should try to face the pain. We have to know that no pain is eternal and it will fade away anytime. So we need to seize our moment and try not to think about it as much as it would bother us a lot. The second thing is we have to understand that no pain, no gain. So the problem is, how can we turn from pain into gains? So a couple of years ago, it is a real story based on myself. My grandma passed away. I still remember the time when she walked me through the moonlit narrow lanes near the ruins of St. Paul's, but it has passed away. But Grandma's death has taught us one thing. It has helped my family to become way more harmonious and try to be more friendly together. So I think it is my way of turning pains into gains. And to sum up what I've talked about today is, pain is not scary. It's not a monster that we have to be afraid of them. It is a chance of getting improved and try to live a better self. Thank you.
Thank you for your passion and talk. And our next speaker is Miffy Ho. And her keywords are meaningful and meaningless. You may start.
Living in such a modernized era, we always get information from different ways, perhaps the social media. But when we acquire this knowledge or information, have we ever given a thought of which kind of them are meaningful and what is meaningless? Perhaps for most of you, the meaningful things are going to be how we're going to tackle the global crisis, such as easing global warming or stuff like diminishing the emission of greenhouse gases. But for me, the meaningful things aren't gonna always be the big ones. Small things could be meaningful too, such as how we maintain our own mental health, to be caring, to be considerate for people that cares about us, could be meaningful too. Like if we didn't care about them or treat them as the way they love us, all the things could be meaningless with just a moment. And for me, what is the most meaningless thing would be the comparison between others. Like, I wouldn't be such a brand new version of me just because I compared with her. Nothing would be better overnight just because with this comparison. And what I would like to say is, This kind of comparison would only bring us insecurities and uncertainties, which we will never improve from. And that's why I believe comparison, like this kind of one-sided comparison, would be totally meaningless. And in a conclusion, what is meaningful and meaningless has no actual definition. It's based on how we treat the world and how we receive from the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mifik. And our next speaker is Winona Nay. And here her keywords are half full and half empty.
Testing. Okay.
And you may start in any time.
There's an old question. If you see half cup of water, would you think, oh yes, I've got half full of it? Or, oh no, I've just got half empty of it? But these two situations sounds the same, but the attitude you use to face it, it's totally different. When facing these situations, the most important thing I'll tell myself is to stay calm and stay positive. If I can't change the situation, then why don't we just face it with a smile on our face? It's just the same when facing difficulties in our lives. Maybe we'll face it with anxieties and feel worried and frustrated, as it's difficulty, right? But remember, everything has its own pros and cons. What we have to do is to see the good side of it and calm ourselves down. Difficulties may cause us trouble, but it also makes us grow. When facing difficulties, we may choose the wrong way to solve it, and we may also worsen it. But who don't make mistakes? As long as you stay positive and calm yourself down, solutions will be fine. I hope that all of you can find your way to solve the problem and face everything positively. I hope that all of you can find your half full cup of water. Thank you.
Thank you, Winona. And our next speaker is Jenny, and her keywords are success and effort. And Jenny, you may have 15 seconds to check your settings and prepare yourself.
Testing. Okay, hello everyone. Today my topic is success and effort. So the main idea I want to emphasize is that if you want to be success, you should give more effort. For nature, everyone will have their strength and weakness, because every person is a unique one. So I think if you want to be success, maybe something is you're not good at. So at that time, you should give more effort than others. Like someone is good at art, math, or social, but someone is not. So for example, Helen Keller she was blind and deaf when she was an infant. But she never gave up, and she gave more effort than others. So finally, she became a famous writer. And in my personal experience, I think I am not good at English as well. And I am not very confident enough. But I never gave up. And I decided to embrace vision, to to challenge myself.
It's not just me, here again, and today I'm going to talk about social butterfly and lone rangers. For me, I would choose social butterfly. Butterflies have a lovely name, and I think myself I'm a bright and outgoing person, and I'm also be a leader in a team. And one of the audience is also my friend, and is also my teammate. And I feel really uncomfortable to be alone because I think as a team we can we need communication with each other. And if you be alone, we can do anything well, I think. For me, I don't think I can do things well when I'm separate with others. And I always think that communication is a very necessity because we need to communicate with each other so that we can do things well. And social ability, social butterfly, and lone rangers, I think each of us have your own choice. But for me, I would choose social butterfly. And it can also, if I'm alone, if I do things alone, I may afraid that I feel that helpless and helpless. So this is all my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. And our next speaker is Nicole, and her keywords are parents and caregiver. And Nicole, you may have 15 seconds, check a setting and prepare yourself.
Testing. Okay.
Okay.
Hello. So, when I was born, my grandmother was my caregiver. And I was still living in the Philippines at that time, so my parents provided for me here in Macau. I wasn't a really difficult child to raise. I was smart, I was friendly, I was outgoing, and it wasn't that difficult to raise me, I'm saying as my grandmother. My parents cared for me for their own way. They were here in Macau. I didn't really talk to them that much since I was still very young. But as soon as I came here to Macau, when I was 6 years old, I had both of my parents and my grandmother to care for me. But I believe, even though my grandmother was my caregiver, my parents cared for me for their own way. They provided me what I wanted, the toys to reward me for the accomplishments that I made in school. They gave me the food that I wanted. I was a really chubby kid when I was young, so they really provided a lot for me. They provided so much, I don't even know how to thank them. Me being in this competition is what I believe is how I can make them proud for me. This is what I can give back to them. The accomplishments, the awards, and at least the experience of me being here. This is how I'm going to thank my parents and my grandmother for raising me into the woman that I am right now. So, I believe that my parents provide everything that they could for me, and my grandmother, I'm extremely thankful for her for taking care of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. And our next speaker is Isaac Leung, and his keywords are individual and community. And Isaac, you may check the settings. Testing this. and you may start at any moment.
Starting from the time when we know how to read and speak, we are told that we should become good people. When I say good people, it means that we should think for the community. We should put community before we think of ourselves. For example, when I was small, the teacher told us that me and every other student represent the whole class. When we are asked to vote for a color to put on a t-shirt where it is for our whole class, most of the students vote for pink because at that time, our class, there are more girls than boys in our class. Well, some boys are naughty and rebellious like me. Asked the teacher, can we get blue for ourselves and pink for theirs? Well, the teacher told us, no, you're a class. No matter where you come from, no matter what nationality you are, at this moment, you are a class. You should think and work as a whole. When I grew up, the teacher told us that we are the future of the world. We are the future of our country. They told us to think about the future and what we want to do. And that time, some rebellious and naughty guys like me think that, why can't we just play video games and stay at home? It's fun. Why should we contribute to the world? The teacher told us that community are made up of separate individuals, and the community makes separate individuals relate. In fact, community made up of individuals and community affect individuals. Every individual in the community is very important. So, as we all live in this world, we should have responsible to contribute to the world and to the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. And our last speaker is Joe Lei. And his keywords are time travel and space travel. And Joe, you may check the settings.
Why?
Thank you.
When we talk about space travel and time travel with our friends, what do we think of? We will ask our friends, oh, if you're gonna time travel, which part of life do you want to travel to? Maybe you want to go back to when you're a baby, or maybe go to your old life when you're a grandpa or a grandmother. And when we also talk about space travel, we talk about, oh, which planet do you want to go to? Which universe do you want to go to? But when we're thinking of about these dreams and big things, I realize no one is worrying about the problems we have now. We have a lot of problems in the modern area, just like poverty. No one cares about it. Even there are many people who doesn't even have food to eat. And global warming has been a big problem in our lives, but no one cares. All they care is the big future and the dreams they are thinking about. This makes me realize time travel and space travel has become all meaningless when we can't even solve the problems that we have now at this very moment. When we're always thinking about the mystery future and not caring about the present, we are not cherishing the present that we have now, then what's the point of thinking something very far when we cannot live right now? Therefore, I believe we should live at our very moment, live at the present, because it's a gift that every one of you here, we are standing right now at this very moment. Because life is a very meaningful thing. Because don't even think about in the future, what will happen in the future, because it's a mystery for all of you. Live at the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And this is the end of the third section of our contest. I can surely feel the excitement and the tension of our contest. It should take our judges a while to score and bring down their papers to our scores. So now we are going to take a break for about 15 minutes. In the time being, let's have our votes for the Best Popularity Award. Now you can see it on a QR code shown on our screen. Please use your device to scan the QR code and you can make a vote to a maximum of 2 contestants. The vote will end in 3 minutes. So, it's action time. And there are only 30 seconds left. Please take your time and be action. And there are only 10 seconds left for the vote. And it's time. And now we're going to take a break for about 15 minutes.
เ 比較少㗎，少領匯都比較少去嗰邊，因為領匯多數都係澳洲、美加，跟住英國呢個係大嘅啦，跟住近年係有澳咯，澳都多嘅，同埋去香港比較少，係屬集團嗰邊就更加少，所以其實係爭嘅機會唔多咯。
讀定法文。你叫同細佬㗎？
係啊，我哋細佬
佢貪得意，12歲啫嘛。
自己得咯，自己去用個 app 自學咯。
我之前教呢啲機會嗰啲課程，跟住佢自己又啱啱自己去練習，又懶識。
方式就係最主要就係 A level 咯。
咁佢都照考㗎。
IGS 係啊，等緊功課。我都冇下大
Welcome back. We're ready for the award ceremony of the Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022. We're here today not just to celebrate the achievement of our contestants, but also to promote English teaching and communication, explore excellent English speaking talents in Macau. We are really amazed by the energy, enthusiasm, and the feedback from the public. I believe that in the future, there will be a group of excellent speakers sharing the Macau story with the world. Before the ceremony, we would like to invite our honorable judges to share their comments on the performance of our contestants. And how about Ms. Lo Yunhua?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, CYAA, for inviting me to be one of the judges of the Macau Youth Speech Contest. It's my third year being a judge, and it is delightful to see so many young people on stage, showing us not just their good public speaking skills, but sharing with us their innovative thoughts and inspiring messages. Public speaking is the art of giving power to words, to influence and to inspire others. For me, the success of your speech is judged by how successfully you deliver your messages to your audience. To do so, you need to construct the speech in a logical way, to excel the skills of using white pauses, pitch, and tones, etc. It's not an easy task, but it's something that we could improve by practicing a lot. So, to our 11 excellent competitors today, even though you might not win any prizes at the end, but I hope the experience could help you improve your public speaking skills, and what you can get in return is the success in the many areas that you apply your public speaking skills for in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lo, our president of Macau Language Exchange and Culture Promotion Association. And we'd like to hear about the thoughts on our Miss Margarita Scholar T. Mulleris, our president of East Asian Education Association Macau.
Thank you. So I also say congratulations to all the contestants. I could see you have prepared very much and made a lot of effort not to think of a topic and deliver it, practicing. And it's also impressive to hear that some were already scared to join this competition, but they still went through it. It's getting out of comfort zone, it's going beyond that barrier. So what I find really very good is that you all tried. And as our other judge had said, there'll be some winners, some may not make it. But let's take it as since you're all students, you don't study just for the exams, results, or marks. What you'll treasure is the process of learning. What you'll treasure is what you have learned. For sure, you have increased your knowledge and skills, and you're all better persons by now. If you think of yourself a few months ago and today, for sure you've had a good change. And I'm sure your family members, friends would have noticed it. So I would encourage that maybe you envision yourself in the future. You may have had coaches to prepare for your speeches. And a prepared speech or impromptu speech is not easy to just suddenly deliver like that. But maybe in the future you can help other younger students in preparing for a competition or maybe assisting them in their studies. And what's important is that we'll always be encouraging, that you'll always have that positive tone. They can make it, they can be better. And each one of you and each person you meet can also be better because of your touch. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I would like to hear the thought on our Professor Victoria Lei, our Assistant Dean of Faculty and Arts of Humanities, University of Macau.
Thanks very much. Good morning. Right, I perfectly agree with what the two other judges have said. I'm very impressed with the performance of all the contestants. It's amazing that they're able to reflect on their own experience, observe the world around them, and look so positively towards the future. And most of them, I understand, do not have English as their native language, but they managed to express their ideas, articulate their ideas so smoothly and so effectively. And I'm really pleased to see that level of wisdom expressed at such young age. Well, that made me feel very hopeful about the future. But although now we are facing lots of uncertainties. Right, I perfectly agree with what the two other judges have said. The process of taking part in contest is the most important. I love contest. I like taking part in contest, and I love taking students to contest. I found especially in the last 20 years, I noticed that every time a student takes part in a contest, well, it's a big step forward in their life. They all of a sudden become so much more mature and smart. So I think the whole process of preparing for the contest and the moment that you stand on the stage is a very important part of your growth in your life. For a contest, and there'll be limited numbers of winners. But I would like to tell you, right, whether you get a prize today or not, you're already a winner, right? Standing on the stage here, you're already winners. And I would like to congratulate the organizers. I noticed that they are very young as well. It's all young people. It's a wonderfully organized contest. I think the topics, the questions, and the keywords used at the contest are wonderful. So you have set up a platform for young people to reflect on their life, to look towards the future, and to express themselves. So that is wonderful. Congratulations, and thank you.
I also thank you for the judging. Before announcing the winners, we will first present the certificate of merit to all our finalists and their instructors. First, let's welcome our program director of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022, Ms. Rico Lei, to present the certificate of merit to the finalists. And please welcome our finalists to be on the stage again. And please welcome our finalists. All of our 11 contestants. All of you have presented an amazing speech. Please take a picture. Thank you all the finalists for your excellent performance, and thank you, Rico. Please be seated. Next, let's welcome our consultant. Let's welcome a consultant on Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022, Ms. Janice Check, to present the certificate of merit to our instructors and of the finalists. Please welcome our instructors.
If your instructors are not able to come today, please receive the prize yourself. older student contestants. Yeah. Yeah, please receive it on behalf of your teachers.
Please take a group picture. And thank you, and please be seated. And now, please welcome our consultant of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022, Mr. Marty C., to the stage to present a certificate of appreciation to our honorable judges, including Ms. Yunhua Lok, President of Macau Language Exchange and Culture Promotion Association. And please take a picture. Thank you. And Ms. Margarita Scarlett T. Munoz, President of East Asian Education Association, Macau. Please on stage. Thank you. And now, please welcome Professor Victoria Lei, Assistant Dean of Faculty of Arts and Humanities, University of Macau. And thank you very much for judging today. Please be seated. And now, the moment we have been waiting for, the announcement of the winner. Okay? Now, please welcome our Honorable Judge, Professor Victoria Lei, to the stage to present the Best Popularity Award. The Best Popularity Award of Student Category of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022 goes to Miffy Ho, Ho Wing Yin. Congratulations and thank you. Please be seated. Professor Lei, could you stay on the stage to help us present the third place winner? The third place student category of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022 goes to Leung Yan Kiu. Leung Yan Kiu. Congratulations. Congratulations and thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Professor Lei, and please be seated. Now, please welcome our honorable judge, Ms. Margarita Scarlatti Muniz, to present the second place winner. Our second place winner of student category of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022 is Isaac Leung, Leung Jinglong. Congratulations. Congratulations and thank you. Please be seated. And now it's time for our champion. Let's welcome our honorable judge, Ms. Yunhua Luk, to stage to present the champion and also the winning school award. Our champion of student category of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022 is Winola Lei, Lei Xiwan, from Chen Shui King Prefectural Health College, Chen Shui King 永門中學。Congratulations to all the winners. Please be seated. Now let's invite everyone to come to take a group photo, and please be seated and keep your smile. And please, our photographer, come on the stage. I believe we can all see the fruits of our contestants. We all did an amazing job. It's been a great success with the participation and dedication of all our contestants, judges, guests, sponsors, organizers, and staff. Ladies and gentlemen, what's your opinions about the contest? We value your feedback, and we appreciate that if you can help us to complete the feedback questionnaire. And also, we have come to the end of the final round of student category of Macau Youth English Speech Contest 2022. Thank you all for your participation and see you next year. Thank you. And now you may enjoy your time.
Thank you. 位位係啦，然後大家嘅撞咧，其實係有個盒嘅，大家可以過嚟拎翻。
交俾你。